Welcome to Toddy D's Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you don't know by now, bro, you've been living under a rock. I'm your host, Brooklyn's own Toddy D, and today on the podcast, I got a guy I've been trying to get on for the longest time. He's also part of Middle Kingdom Wrestling. He belongs to the faction known as The Stable. He is joined with Queen Marie, Chairman Al, Ash Silver, and his recent tag team partner, Uncle Money. I could only be talking about the big man himself. I got to welcome on the podcast my main man, Big Sam. Welcome, my man, to the podcast. How the hell are you?
Well, thank you very much, Toddy D, for having me on. And like you said, it has taken some time for me to get on this, but I'm very happy to be on your podcast.
And I'm happy
at the moment. I'm doing very well, thank you.
I'm glad to hear that.
How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing okay, thank you. Good things come to those who wait. I've been waiting to get the big guy on here for the longest time, and I'm going to get right into it, my man. I watched the tag team match in the finals. You had Buffa in the boombox along with DC Chen against yourself and your partner, Uncle Money. Now, my question is this. Uncle Money, he botched the finish. He gave you the spear when you shouldn't have taken it, obviously. You guys lost on account of his screw-up. Now, my question to you is a receipt in the future of the big guy, Uncle Money, from you to him for payback?
Oh, yes, you talk about the spear you gave me. Oh, but don't worry. This is just a stepping stone. Ash Silver now, he's got himself an MKW championship, Belt and Road championship. I'm the current King of Pro Wrestling champion from another organization in China.
Correct.
And Uncle Money's got his eyes on Buffa's IBEW title. And when the time is right, me and Uncle Money are taking the MKW tag team belts. Like you said, it's all about time.
It's all about time.
Good things come to those who wait. And the stable's been going on for a few years now. We're not like these thrown together groups that disappear after 6 months or a year, or whenever they run out.
Okay.
We got longevity behind us.
So you have longevity. So my question to you is, do you think there will be a future falling out with you and Uncle Money due to you being a champion, due to the screwed up finish, or do you think you guys will patch stuff up and move forward?
That's what people are hoping for. That is what people are hoping for. But the thing is, we're good brothers. We talk things through and we get it done. You'll see. If you carry on watching, you'll see what happens.
I'm looking forward to it because you guys do make a hell of a unit. But I have to ask you, what is the beef that you guys have with Buffa between the Whoopi Goldberg rants and also calling him LL Cool J? What's with the hatred on Buffa? You guys jumping him after his matches. You're always taking cheap shots. What did he do to you guys for you guys to have this hatred toward him?
Well, I know you got a bit of love for him coming up from New York. But as Uncle Money's been telling me all about the US, Uncle Money is from the proud city of Atlanta, Georgia. And he says that's where all the rap music is. That's where the serious guys are from. He says New York's full of jokers, but they seem to take all the spotlight.
Whoa.
So Uncle Money has educated me about all this.
Wow, man. All the hate on New York, man. I bet you if you came down here, man, for a visit, you'd change your mind.
Oh, no, I've been sold to the South, mate.
I see that. So you're originally from the UK. What got you to China? Like, tell me your backstory. How did it all start for you? How'd you get involved in the world of professional wrestling?
So pro wrestling or China, which side?
Well, how did you get started? I mean, you came from the UK, so obviously, how did you get started initially? And then take me through.
Okay, let's go to the wrestling. Ever since I was a youngster, I loved pro wrestling. And, I tried to find wrestling schools, but in the UK, the wrestling scene's not as big as it is in the US of A. So I took up amateur wrestling, like you do in high schools in America, freestyle wrestling. So I did that for multiple years until one day I did come across pro wrestling, but it was on the other side of the country almost. So I went to a few classes, but I couldn't keep it up regular, especially when I was still a youngster and I wasn't driving at the time. Things got a lot easier when I did get my driving license. I got my own vehicle. And then I found more wrestling schools closer to home. I originally trained with Oric Williams. Now, I know he's not a big name in America, but in Britain, he was very big on the television circuit. We had World of Sport before WWF came in the 80s. And he was very much part of that. So I trained with him for a couple of months, but here at that time, his age and health wasn't in the best state. And so I found one of his students, former students, who had his own wrestling school. And so I started doing pro wrestling there. And then I had an opportunity to come to China on exchange because I was studying at the time in business and marketing. And I wrestled in the UK up until I came to China, which was 2007, the first time. Okay. And when I came to China, there was no pro wrestling at all. I mean, when I tried to explain it to people there, it was another world to them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's only been really big in the last 5 years in Middle Kingdom, I believe, right? In that area of China.
I was in the Shanghai region at the time, and if you in China, that's like midway up the country, midway Shanghai. It was when I came to Guangdong that they actually had a bit of knowledge of pro wrestling. A girl I dated, when I mentioned pro wrestling, she started dropping names like Kane and China and talked about around the 1998 Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And then she told me they used to get a lot of this stuff from Hong Kong. So they were familiar with it. And funny enough, it was when I was in Guangdong, I got introduced to Ho Ho Lun. He was the Hong Kong wrestler who was in the WWE Cruiserweight Classic.
Okay.
Yeah, he was over in the WWE in 2016. Anyway, I got introduced to him, and he introduced me into the small circle of pro wrestlers that was there.
Okay.
And it was basically, that was like a foot in the door. I was at the time one of the only foreigners there. And then suddenly, in a couple of years, boom, it exploded. And different people were getting involved with wrestling. We had people coming over from the US, the UK, Japan. It just really grew.
A lot of crossovers. And that's what I was going to mention to you when I spoke to Buffa in the past and Zombie Dragon recently. Not that China doesn't cheer for their people who are homegrown, but I see they take an extra liking to people from either the US or the UK because it's like a different look, a different style. I mean, you're about what, 6'6", 6'7"? You're a big dude. So for China, you stand out like a sore thumb in a good way.
Not always a good way, but yes, generally I'm not very subtle here. You can say that.
I can imagine. I mean, you know, you're very rough around the edges, but I do like your style, and that's what I was going to ask you. Who are you like early?
I call my style sloppy powerhouse.
Sloppy powerhouse? I don't know about that.
That's how I describe the style. There's nothing fancy with me, mate. It's very far from fancy. It's all jacking them up in the air. The military presses and power bombs and the big slaps.
Well, you're a big dude, so you know you should be going for that type of power. Nothing fancy. I can't stand the flippity floppity crap, so I'm not a fan of that. So
well, actually, me and Buffa, when we got talking about wrestling, the styles we like, me and Buffa are very similar in the styles we watch.
Right.
Definitely different styles in the ring. He's a lot cleaner and smoother and a lot more experienced than I am. But he pointed me in directions of like the 90s wrestlers who wrestled in Japan, like the Gaijin wrestlers. For example, Terry Gordy, Dick Murdoch, Stan Hansen.
Legends.
And you learn quite a lot from how just hit someone with a clothesline. As long as you knock their block off, the fans love it.
They eat it up, man.
Like the fans always ask me about the power bomb. Whenever I wrestle, they want the power bomb. They don't care about any other move I do. I could do something fancy and but they want the power bomb.
That's the signature move for you.
That's all that I really need. That's what gets them high.
But you know what? Back in old school wrestling, little stuff meant more than the big stuff. And I always use Jake the Snake as my go-to guy for an example. He would go like this, set up the short arm clothesline, and you know the DDT was coming. So a big guy like you who does the power bomb, you do the little things for the build, and once you get to that point to do the power bomb, it makes sense. And they eat it up because that's what they're waiting on, like you said. You do 999 flippity floppity bullshit moves and flip number 1,000, that doesn't mean shit to me. If you build little by little, the way you wrestle, the way I seen Buffa wrestle, you get to the finish and you get the build, and that keeps the audience, you know, keeping up with it and wanting to see more because they get the build, they get it.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Now we got a lot of young Chinese guys over here. Well, we're in China, so yes, there is a lot of young Chinese guys.
Obviously.
We're getting into wrestling, though. They're getting into wrestling. And obviously, the biggest influence is flipping on the TV. In China, when you go online, you can literally find anything.
Yes.
So they find Ring of Honor, they can find TNA, Impact Wrestling now. Japan's very popular as well.
All these companies, AEW, WWE. I mean, there's so much wrestling that they can pick up here and there.
But the thing is what they get influenced by as well. And sometimes They look like they joke about with me being really into old school wrestling. I mean, I love the late 80s, 90s wrestling. That was what made me fall in love with pro wrestling.
Yes.
And I show them stuff, and you got to explain, like, why is that good? I mean, I like the British Bulldogs. When it comes to a good small guy wrestler, well, smaller side, Dynamite Kid.
He was amazing.
I'm not being biased because he's a Brit or anything like that. Regardless of that, Chris Benoit was another good example as well. Eddie Guerrero.
Yep.
They had a bit of mass to them. They looked believable when they took a big guy down. It didn't look wrong where Dynamite Kid used to come in at 9 miles an hour and he clothesline Steve Williams to death and put him to the floor. You could believe that.
Exactly. It made sense, and they were smooth as hell in the ring. And speaking of British wrestling,
he only went to the top when he was in that opportunity, when he did a missile drop kick or a diving headbutt. And these are the guys we, like, for example, me and Buffa like to promote. You know, this is the style you should be looking for as well. Because, you know, they all want to go in there. And I mean, I've taken probably about 1,000 Hurricane Ranas in my time, you know, because they all want to.
And for a big guy, you have to flip with that. So, I mean, you know, for a big guy.
But it's just because what it is and when I'm teaming up with my two tag team partners, I'm the big guy, but I'm the one doing the bumping.
You're doing all the bumping.
Which I get told off for doing a lot. You know,
they got to put some time in for that. You know? Exactly. So we spoke about British wrestlers. I wanted to ask you this. I see the logo for the stable has a pair of brass knucks. Now, was that an inspiration from William Regal when he used to carry the brass knucks, or is it from somewhere else?
Well, one of my faction members, Ash Silver, he created the logo.
Okay.
And it was afterwards I saw that it was actually William Regal's had a T-shirt, because he used to do that for a bit, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
He had the knuckles. Yeah, wrestling, probably in 2010 to 2020, I wasn't too much into watching WWE.
Okay.
So I sometimes pick up a few clips, or I might forget something from there. If you mention
with me, I get the catchphrase. I tell everybody I've been a fan since '77. I'm a little older, so I've been watching wrestling now for over 40 years. So I know all the different transitions from public access, cable TV to pay-per-view to the network, Peacock, all points in between. So when I saw the brass knucks, right away I thought of William Regal. And you being from the UK, I figured that was part of an inspiration. I tried piecing it together. I guess I was wrong.
I'll run with that, though. I'll run with that, because I am a fan of William Regal. But I was fans of Steven Regal when he was in WCW.
That's right. Steven Regal in WCW with the Blue Bloods, and then William Regal coming to WWE.
When he got jumped by Fit Finlay.
Correct.
And I had to explain the whole Britain and Ireland feud.
Right.
I had to do that to a few friends, yeah.
You know, it's funny because between Regal and Fit Finlay, your style reminds me very reminiscent of them. You know, the Smash Mouth.
Really? Because I mean, they're $1 million compared to me with all their tie-ups.
Don't sell yourself short there, Big Sam. I mean, right now, in my opinion, if it weren't for Uncle Money's screw up, and I'm not trying to start a problem, I think you guys would have been the inaugural tag team.
He's warned me about you New Yorkers, mate. He's warned me about them.
Hey, listen, man, I can't help it. I'm just calling it the way I see it, the way we say in New York. Forget about it, man. I'm telling you, Uncle Money screwed that up. You should be the tag team champion right now. But like I said,
people, the biggest shock with the Chinese fans, they all gave me messages like, "We can't believe that those two won the belts." And I was like, they've already decided. When they did the poll, when they said, "Who do you think was going to win?" Obviously, me and Uncle Money, you took two big boys together. We went straight to the end.
Yeah. I mean,
we got that Faces of Fear, APA, go tag team look to us.
Yeah, no, you definitely have that big man look, which I love. And it seems to me that Uncle Money has more of a chip on his shoulder than you do, because you seem like, you're all about all business in the ring, but outside the ring, you seem like a nice dude, a humble guy. I have the feeling that Uncle Money would be a little different.
Oh, Uncle Money, no, he is a blessing. He's a good mate of mine. He's really, like I said, educates me about the US of A. He's told me what to watch out for and that. He told me to be careful about coming on this show tonight.
Well, I don't blame him in a way, but don't take all his advice for everything, because there's two sides to the coin, my man. So when you get to know Brooklyn's own Toddy,
when I went to America, he pointed me in the direction of Chick-fil-A. I tell you what, everything he says now to me is believable. That was gospel. He said that is one of the best pieces of fried chicken you'll ever have, and he was so true with that.
Well, if you come to one of my barbecues, you might think differently, but that's for a different time in a different place. So I got to ask you,
I look forward to
Queen Marie is part of this stable. Now, is Queen Marie more of your personal manager or outside interest, or is she an equal manager?
Well, this is where the drama is. You talk about the drama being up for money. The drama is, who's this woman with?
Yes.
Well, when she was brought in, everybody was trying to have a sniff. But as you can see from the recent shows, it's me she holds hands with.
I see that. I see she kisses your bicep before every match. So I see a little outside love interest.
That's what people love. That's what they all messaged me about that entrance.
Yes.
They said, we come out with Godsmack blasting away with the rock music. And I got this beautiful blonde Russian swinging around on my arm. And then she kisses the bicep.
I guess so. Life is.
That's why I'm always happy, mate. That's why I've got the smile.
I don't blame you. I hear you. When I'm with my wife, I smile. I'm the same way. So it's safe to say that Queen Marie and Big Sam are an item outside of the world of wrestling.
We might revisit that conversation later, but
not a problem.
We're close.
We'll move forward. But it's too bad that she couldn't have been more of an impact in that tag match, and hopefully she can.
You know what? That was some words I had with her later as well. I had some words with her about it because
to instigate. I'm just saying, as an outside manager,
when I got into wrestling, I always wanted myself a ballet, and I like the old school ballets. None of this modern stuff. Sherry was a favorite of mine. You remember her? Sensational Sherry?
Because
she was a diamond. Whoever, and you know what? She raised the people she managed.
Here's one of the guys she raised the
bar. $1 Million Man. He's on your T-shirt.
Yep, $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
And that was one of my favorite versions of Sherry. I think that's when she looked her hottest, when she was in the gold heels and the suspenders and that.
Yep, she managed Ted DiBiase, Macho Man, Shawn Michaels. I mean,
Harlem Heat, WCW.
Harlem Heat. How can you forget Sister Sherry? I mean, she was always that difference in the match. And that's what I was thinking that Queen Marie would be.
And this is what we're pushing Marie to be more like.
Okay. Definitely, because I could see her being
you saw how you saw how when Buffa was assaulting me, I presume that's a New York thing as well.
Oh, here we go.
she equalized. She equalized him, and she showed him what Rush was all about.
Okay. So now let me ask you this. A lot of matches prior to the tag team tournament, I seen, Buffa tagging or wrestling in singles against Zombie Dragon. Every time the match is over, whether it's you, whether it's Little Johnny, whether it's whoever it is, they're always getting jumped. What is this hatred toward Buffa that I cannot understand for the life of me? And I'm not taking sides. I'm just a curiosity. What did he do to piss you guys off? Is it jealousy? What is it?
No. You got to understand what jealousy is before you use that word jealousy.
Okay, big man, tell me about it.
We laid the foundations, and then suddenly this guy comes out of nowhere, buggers up in one place, buggers up in another place, and then he drops down on our territory. And then because we've got some woken management who seem to like what he does, they really push him into the spotlight. Uncle Money, he was there before most of these guys, and he's still left at the back of the queue.
So you're kind of protecting
himself. I was tarmacking the floor for this bloody place, this wrestling in China.
Gotcha.
And then these guys come in, Zombie Dragon and Buffa, they come off a plane, they've had it bad at home. And they're coming over here and they're trying to stick what we've made.
Okay.
So that's basically the grounds of it. They go out there and they think they steal the show. They think they're killing the business.
Right. And in your opinion, they're not.
No. I feel they're riding the coattails.
Riding the coattails. Okay, so with that being said, you're a champion, Zombie Dragon is a champion, and so is Buffa. Now, I know that...
Oh, it's like Oprah Winfrey says, look under your seats. You've got a belt. You've got a belt. You've got a belt. There's too many belts in China. That's the problem.
So now what is the chance that we'll see a three-way dance between all three champions? Whether it's non-title, title match, title unification, talk to me. What do you think is going to happen?
We did a four-way once, and Buffa and Zombie Dragon were in it.
Okay.
And again, they all took it out on me.
Right. So they're jealous.
I missed it right at the beginning. Right at the beginning, I was missed it.
Okay, so basically, I think what you're saying is they're jealous of you, and that's why, in your opinion, they're trying to hog up the spotlight.
Envious. Jealousy means you don't want them to take what you got. Envious means that they want what you have.
They want what you have.
They are envy of me. I am not jealous of them.
Okay, so in other words, in your opinion, they're a legend in their own mind, and they're trying to take what they're not.
Oh yeah, they bang themselves on social media that they do this, they do that. Let me just say, over in China, it's me who drives the truck.
So you're the
Those guys catch buses.
Okay, so now aside from being a wrestling superstar in China, I know that you're into business, and I believe you do some other stuff on the side. Are you like a business analyst? So tell me about that.
Well, when I originally came to China, I was studying business and marketing, and I ended up working for a company selling electronics into the Western market.
Okay.
Yeah, you've heard of Huawei, the mobile telephone?
I'm sorry?
Well, we originally started moving Huawei into Europe before Huawei had dealerships and that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know now if America has Huawei on the high street yet.
Not too sure. I'd have to look into that to get back to you on. But I was very impressed with your background, besides wrestling. That I said, okay, here's a guy that kicks ass in the ring, but he's also got a brain and he knows what he's doing. And that's
and now currently I'm a marketing manager for international universities in China. So when you see all these Chinese students appearing in America, funding your universities, supporting them, it's because it's people like myself over in China who's helping them get over there.
So we can thank Big Sam for that.
Yep. Well, I don't know if you thank me or there's maybe some anger towards it, but yeah, I'm part of the reason.
Part of the reason. So you got to do a Barry Horowitz. You pat yourself on the back. I mean, that's very impressive. So now moving forward, aside from Middle Kingdom Wrestling, the title that you hold is from a different wrestling company, correct?
Yeah, I see you got your titles. There's this one.
Oh, there it is. That's why I was going to ask you. That's a beautiful title. I love it. Look at that.
I think it's one of the best looking titles in China, actually.
That is a beautiful title, and I'm glad you saw the titles I had in the background. The banner behind me in the middle is Shockwave. When I used to work for NWA Cyberspace, they became Shockwave after that. And Buffa, as you say, that I take his side for everything, which I don't. I've known him since 2005 because he used to wrestle here.
You keep talking about him a lot during my interview, but yeah, okay.
No, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just trying to set the record straight that there is no favoritism. I am a big fan of Big Sam. I think that you're an ass-kicking machine, and I see you more of a singles wrestler than a tag wrestler. I think you're carrying Uncle Money. That's just my opinion. Not trying to start a problem here. I'm just giving my opinion.
Sounds like it. I know, like you said, you got this NWA title. I've always liked the NWA titles.
Yes, a lot of lineage with
I think there's some of the best looking championships about.
Those, the old school titles I'm a fan of. I have the NWA behind me.
Yeah, me too.
WCW.
For me, with the WWF titles, it's stopped after the Winged Eagle for my liking of that.
And if you look over here, the one on the second from the top is the Winged Eagle. I have
I can see it there. And below that's Intercontinental, is it?
Yep, you have the Winged Eagle Intercontinental title, old school like Savage, Steamboat, perfect, and you have the U.S. title on the bottom. And I'll be filling up the trophy cases as we go.
What's on the other side? Is that the WCW one at the top?
The one on the top is the WCW. Correct. The one over here is WCW.
Then you've got the NWA.
NWA and the NWA television title.
That was the one I couldn't work out, the bottom one.
I can see you carrying that title. I can see you in the NWA, and that's what I want to get to. If Big Sam were given an opportunity to come here in the States, whether it was AEW, WWE, Impact, MLW, Ring of Honor, you name it, if you had an opportunity to showcase your talent here in the States, would you take it?
100%. I love America. I've been many times to America, but never wrestled over there.
Because as a fan, I would love to see you come here.
Well, when this COVID situation disappears, I hope to come over to the States and wrestle.
Definitely.
I'd love to. Speaking
of COVID, you and your family in China, you're all staying safe and healthy.
Well, my family's back in the UK at the moment. They're all good. They've all had the 2 injections.
Sure.
I've had my 2.
That's good. Very good.
At the moment, currently, as we're talking, the region we're in, Guangdong, this is the province, like a state, you could say, where the stable, me, Uncle Money, Ash Silver, even your boy, Buffa, all live around here. Unfortunately, different regions are getting locked down again.
I heard that.
It's making traveling a bit of a nightmare. Now, and China's super strict. Wish they were strict a couple of years ago when this stuff happened. But anyway, that's another story. If to catch a flight now from this region, you've got to have a COVID test 48 hours.
Wow. So now,
and so we got a show coming up next month.
What is it? What's it called?
Like Uncle Money's in a part of Shenzhen, which is a big city down in Guangdong, and his area has been locked down since Monday, where his gyms and the shopping malls are shut.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because I heard that if you guys were to leave right now to fly to the States here, wouldn't be a problem, wouldn't be an issue. But then getting back into the border would be the
coming back is where we're going to have to do quarantine for 2 weeks.
Right. Before you can do what you have to do. Now, you have a work visa, I'm sure, while you're there. Is it every 60-day visa? How often do you have to renew it?
Taxpayer, just to refer to IRS on your T-shirt.
Yes. Earn our shyster.
Yeah.
So now, how often do you have to renew your work visa because of COVID?
Mine is every 2 years. I'm in the place I work really looks after me.
That's good. It's important, I guess, to have a good agent that you can rely on, so you don't have to keep on upping it every 60 days or whatever it is.
Well, to be fair, the HR, the human resource office in my place of work is smashing. They're really good.
That's awesome. So when you guys wrestle with the COVID, I know you have crowds that come in, but they're limited, correct?
Well, when I worked with KOPW, we were limited just because of the size of the venue.
Okay.
But the last show, that IBEW MKW show, where your boy Buffa won the championship.
Not mentioning no names. You said it, my man, not me.
I know.
You said the B word. Shame on you, big man.
I mentioned it, but I'm just telling you, because I know that's the only way you follow these shows is through him. So you can remember the dates.
I followed through Big Sam.
When he won the championship at that show,
right?
I don't believe there was a restriction on crowds. However, that was May 25th. 2 days later, they found an extra case of COVID in that city, and then, the Ministry of Health of Guangdong rang me. Because wherever venue we go into, buildings such as a shopping mall or a cinema, you got to scan a QR code with your phone, and it tells them your name, date of birth. And so a guy rang me, this Chinese man who rang me, and he asked in broken English, was I in such and such place on Tuesday at 10:58 in the morning? And I thought to myself, you know this better than I do.
Wow. So they really want to make sure.
And then he says, he asked me, he said, did you take any trains? How did you get to Shenzhen? Because I know you're from another city.
Right.
And I said, I drove. And they asked for my car registration. And then I can hear them tapping away on the keyboard. And then he said, we got a picture of you. Here's your car, a black SUV. Yes. Okay. No worries. Thank you very much. Phone went down.
So at least you were clean and legit. And I just want to backstep something here. Besides my old friend, I'm a fan of yours. I follow Zombie Dragon, Cold Ray, Uncle Money, all these guys, Ash Silva. I've been getting heavily involved with MKW. My goal is to interview all of you guys, and especially when you got stuff going on, you're more than welcome to come back on the podcast. I want to get Adrian Gomez on the podcast. So maybe Buffa was the first guy, but he brought me to the dance to meet all these other talents. So just know that I'm a fan of Big Sam.
Yeah, I know. You explain your favoritism pretty well.
No, there's no favoritism, my man. I'm telling you.
Just to say, for the people watching, Toddy D sent a tweet out saying that he will always side with Buffa, and that's his man, and that's his thing. So don't you try it.
Hey, man, I was cutting a promo on you. I had to get your attention. But it got you on the show.
Promo. Well,
it was a tweeted promo. But I got you on the show.
It was a bloody cry. It was a whinge.
So let me ask you this. If I came down to Shenzhen, China, and I was on one of the shows, would it be safe to say that I would have to watch my back when Big Sam was in the building?
Me? No, I'll just fool. The cat sometimes plays with the mouse before it kills it. I'll toy with you. But you'll be safe. Don't you worry. Everybody is safe when they come to the show. The only person who's really in danger is the one in the ring with me.
Okay, so it's good to know. So I'll make sure I stay on the outside as a spectator, and I won't get on the inside and risk getting my ass kicked.
But you got to remember, like you said, you stay on the outside. I also have someone on my outside as well. And this is 2021. I can't tell a woman exactly what to do. So Marie
No. You'll
decides
get
to.
the trouble for that, my friend. But you can actually
I know.
train and coach them how to be more efficient valets/managers.
And I mean, she's pretty possessive of me, so
Well, that's not a
careful you
bad thing.
can't.
But now we just have to get her more involved in the matches so she could be a deciding factor. So that way you guys can go over.
At the moment, she doesn't need to be. At the moment, she doesn't need to be.
Well, you mentioned Sensational Sherry earlier, how she was an impact on all these other wrestlers. And I would like to see, as a fan, Queen Marie become more involved the way Sherry did. That's my point.
All in good time. All in good time.
Patience is a virtue.
She's being sent the videos. She's having a good study. She's got her questions. I mean, she's from Russia, so that's already got the aggression on her side.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So now, speaking of you and Queen Marie, when is your next match? Where are you going to be wrestling, and will you be defending your title?
Well, hopefully, with this COVID situation, this COVID situation starts clearing up in our region, I can jump on a plane and I'll be heading to Harbin at the end of July 21st.
That's great. And will that be shown on YouTube?
This will be a taping, and then week by week, the videos get released.
Okay, so you got to keep me posted.
Unfortunately, I already lost one show due to this virus. We're going to wrestle the promotion I'm the champion of. Unfortunately, due to the virus happening in the city where we're having the show, cancelled, so all type of public events were shut.
That sucks. And the name of the promotion again was?
King of Pro Wrestling, KOPW.
So it's very, fitting for you to be the champion.
And you know what? This is something you'd like to enjoy. I know you like to bring him up all the time, but I'm going to bring him up this time.
I'm not saying a word.
King of Pro Wrestling said to me, he said, you're allowed to pick your opponents. Write down your list who you want. And guess who was top?
Buffa and you.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Maybe you guys will do that dance one more time. There might be retribution for Big Sam in the future. But now that you're the champion of King of Wrestling, do you want another shot at becoming a second-time MKW champion?
We want it all. This is the whole point of the stable.
You want to be dripping in gold like the way Ultimo Dragon used to be, right?
Exactly. I was a big WCW fan as well growing up.
Exactly. I got to work with Ultimo Dragon back in NWA cyberspace, and he brought most of the titles with him to the show. And I'm counting them. I'm saying to myself, how many promotions is this guy in that he's dripping with this gold? I mean, me as a fan, when I used to wrestle myself, and my dream was to have one title, let alone a million of them. I mean, he was dripping from arm to arm, around his shoulders, his waist. You name it, he had a title for every place of his body. So I guess.
But it's an absolute nightmare to travel with.
Say that again?
Getting on a plane with titles. I mean, especially in China, when the beeper goes off, I've been called, because of the belts, all that metal in a suitcase, it raises suspicion. Pop it open and you can see their faces totally change when they see it.
Of course, I can imagine. So basically, when you're not wrestling or at your other job, what does Big Sam do in his downtime?
Well, I have a good crowd of friends. I've got a really good social life over here. We have that expat social life.
That's great.
So I'm a man of Guinness. I love a drink.
Me too.
Yeah. I'm a Guinness drinker, by the way. Just in case I come over to the States. Yeah.
I drink all kinds of beer.
I know in America now you're into APAs, are you?
Yeah, I'm not really into the IPAs too much. I drink on a regular basis Beck's. I'll drink Stella, Heineken, but I'll have a Guinness from.
Oh, you like European lagers?
Yes, I do. Very much so.
Yeah, Stella. I like Stella and Heineken. I know Heineken's big in the US.
Great on tap. I don't know if you have certain theme restaurants where you live. Over here, we have restaurants called like Fridays, Miller's Ale House, and all these restaurants we go to.
I know.
Has a tap.
Just to let you know, I've been to the US probably about 10 times.
Oh, you have? Okay.
I'm pretty familiar with a lot of these. I'm pretty familiar with like a lot of these chains and that.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Themes. Yeah, and also in Asia, like in Japan and that, you got your Denny's and your TGI's Fridays.
TGI Fridays, right? That's the one I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And now they're like all over the place, even overseas, like you said. McDonald's, Wendy's, whatever it is, they're all over the place.
I live in all these. I live in this exotic land, but I'm still a steak and potato guy.
Yeah, me too.
So as me and Uncle Money, when we go out, we don't eat. We go straight for steaks and burgers and chips.
Same here, big man.
That's our thing.
I joke around. I say this wasn't built on salad. I tell people this is all protein, steaks and weights, baby.
Well, exactly. Now, when I do go around Asia and we go traveling, you got these other guys who want to try the local noodles, and God bless them. You find me in the expat bar, usually like an Irish themed bar where you can get your bangers of mash, you get your roast beef,
the good
and you can get your steak and that. And usually you get your steaks there, you can get your lagers there. I mean, you're not going to be hugging the toilet the following morning. Usually the women who go there are familiar with foreign men and actually have an interest in the foreign guys.
Right.
You know,
it's always a plus, right?
It's about the going relaxing, and that's my style.
Yeah, I mean.
Now, to carry on what else I do, I'm a bit of a gym bunny these days.
So you go to the gym how many times a week?
Well, this week I've been doing pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
I've been burning the candle at both ends, though. I've started going to gym at 7 in the morning. As you know, I don't know, are you a soccer fan?
I watched some soccer in my time. I know it's football.
Yeah, but you know, currently now we got the Euro Cup. Right. It's stepped down from the World Cup, the Euro Cup anyway.
Right.
And that's pretty big. But the trouble is there's a time difference.
Yeah.
So I'm watching games at 3 o'clock in the morning here.
I saw a video of you on either Facebook or Twitter. You were in a bar watching soccer at 3 in the morning.
Well, this is a British themed bar, yeah. Well, yes. This is a British themed pub.
I saw the video clip.
Yeah, British themed pub. There's a bunch of good old lads over here. And one of them's opened up his own British pub. And so when the England game's on, he opens the pub, especially at 2 in the morning. We go in there and we have a few lagers. Breakfast is a British English fry-up. You know, your bacon and eggs, baked beans and toast and that. And have a Bloody Mary with it.
Wow. Good way to start the day.
I have a really good social life out here. So
sounds like you do.
I live in a different city to a lot of the other wrestlers. I live in Zhuhai.
Okay, how far is that from where you guys wrestle?
Well, I don't like flying, even though I have to fly a lot of the time.
Yeah,
I'd rather drive 5 hours and take a 1 hour flight.
I hear you. I'm a road dog myself, so I agree with you.
Same, big time. Yeah. If I want to stop and eat, I stop and eat. If I want to use the bathroom, I stop and use the bathroom. And I just, flying to me, there's a big fella. I got me, especially in China, everything's Asian size. My knees are up in my chin when I'm sitting in the seat.
Oh, I can imagine. I was going to say, I mean, I had to fly to Texas one time, 5 hours. My brother-in-law is a big guy like you. Him and I are on the outside seats of the plane, but we have people next to us before COVID. And for 5 hours, I'm sitting like this. When I got off the plane, I looked like a T-Rex. I couldn't even move my arms. You know, I'm like this.
But it's worse after you've done a few days of wrestling. I'm crippled almost getting off that flight when I come home.
Sure. Yeah. I can imagine. So now with COVID slowing things down with these wrestling shows that you're supposed to be on, does ring rust set in at all? Do you find yourself blowing up quicker than you usually would, you know, due to the lack of, you know, steady work with the wrestling shows that you usually do compared to now?
The tapings take it out of me when we have multiple days of wrestling with 2-3 matches a day.
Okay.
And also, I don't know if I can say this on your show, I also do a bit of agent work with the wrestlers. Well, I did. So I'd go through some of the stuff.
It's an open forum. Whatever you want to say.
Okay. So I do a bit of agent work with some of the wrestlers and that. So it's kind of like non-stop.
Okay.
And I get tired, especially to one of the heavier big guys. But I always say to the other wrestlers I work, I said, when I wrestle them and I can hear them going, you know, the deep breathing and that.
Right.
Oh, right. And I said, are you doing it before me? I think you got some problems.
Exactly. Well,
so I always use myself as the standard. If you're gassed before me, you've got some issues.
Exactly. You're more conditioned than these guys because they're just coming up. You've been doing this for a while now.
But also, I was always shown a few tricks from the big guys, like, because when I'm in control of the match, it goes at my pace. I'm not doing 100 miles an hour.
Right, which I'm not really a fan of.
You come on and you lean on them. You know, they want to go and do 100 stuff. You just lean on them. Boom. Pick them up and slam when you do. Boom. Air leaves them. Yeah.
Exactly, because the problem is they want to get all their spots.
Well, we have a few guys who forget their stuff.
Right, you got to slow them down.
Well, another thing is we could do training. I could go over the same stuff 20 times in a row and they get it perfect. Live crowd out there, their heart's panicking, they're worried, they're panicked, and they start running 100 miles an hour. So you got to put that lock on and hold it on, and then you whisper, slow it down. Let's go back.
I'll give you a perfect example at 100 miles an hour. Years ago, Andre the Giant's wrestling the Ultimate Warrior in the ring.
Ultimate Warrior into the fist. Is that what you're going to mention?
And it's like
one of my favorite stories by Bobby Heenan.
Yep, and that's a true story. And I can picture Andre. Now, my impression may not be that great, but I can picture Andre going, slow down. What are you doing? And just slow the Warrior down. He hated Savage with the baby oil. He couldn't stand grabbing all that crap. But you got to slow these guys down. And somebody like you who's seasoned, they watch these matches, like Zombie Dragon told me, like Rey Mysterio. They'll watch these matches, see all the flippity-floppity shit, but they're not getting into the psychology of the match.
I'll tell you somebody who else is like that, who he does stuff in the match that nobody's prepared for. Because, we've got a lot of these young guys, and, if you don't follow what they've learned, they don't know how to say improvise on the moment.
Exactly.
And Buffa does it cockily, and he'll just randomly, if it's a multi-man match, he'll just clap the other guy on the outside. They don't know how to react. You don't know whether to come back in the ring. I worked him. I can't remember if the match has been on yet, and he goes limp on me, dead, when I'm trying to pick him up. And I thought, you bastard. So I just let him go down and put my foot on him. I thought, I know what he's doing. He goes limp on me all the time. Like,
he's screwing with you purposely. Right.
Oh, of course. But I don't let that get to me now. I've seen some of the younger guys who get really, they start looking around at me like, what do I do next? Now he's doing this.
Exactly. And then, veterans.
We had a 16-man match.
Yeah.
We had a 16-man match. Did you ever see that?
60-minute match?
16-man match. It was
16-man match.
The first episode.
Is that on one of the Blast-Off episodes?
Yeah.
I'll have to
before the tag team tournament, they had all the teams break up. It was like one of those old school Survivor Series style.
Yes, I did see that. Yes. Okay, now I know what you're talking about.
Well, when we're putting that match together, and we don't go through absolutely everything. Some of the guys have been there a while. Say, okay, I'll just have my heat. I'll get my, I'll do this and this. When they're ready to cut off, just give me the word and we'll go straight into it.
Right.
And so came to heat. And we're having it on Buffa, slamming him around, dropping him about.
Right.
And I went to the rest of my team now, because I'm in control now, because we all paired up. And I work with Buffa, smacking me, I'm smacking him. I lock him up. And I bring me the cutter, who wants to tag? And they all look at me because none of them want in.
Nobody wants
literally, to come in. Well, the thing is, one of the smaller guys tagged me in, and he was confident as hell going in there.
Right, sure.
Unfortunately, the Chinese guys all just stared at me. I'm like, come on, have a dig. No,
they're like half your size. It's crazy because I've seen, I've been watching a bunch of old, tapes on matches on YouTube, and I see the transition of the fans going from just sitting there, not knowing what to do, to now starting to participate and react. And I feel it's because of guys like you and other veterans that are teaching them the way of wrestling in Shenzhen, China. I'm starting to see a turnaround in the fan participation, which is really a good thing. Because in the beginning, they were pretty quiet.
Well, I love crowds. I really seen the difference with COVID when I've wrestled without a crowd. And now I've got a lively crowd. Like the crowd we had in Shenzhen was brilliant. Me, Uncle Money brought a lot of the fans during our match. That's why they were all banging the ring and being very
right.
Absolute ruckus. Yeah, they loved it.
Exactly.
You do step up your game a lot. But on the Chinese social media, I'm like the number one villain for them.
Of course.
Because I can speak Chinese, I can talk to them.
Oh, you can? Wow,
I can speak their language. Yeah.
Very impressive.
Well, that's always given me a bit of edge over other foreign wrestlers. And that's why my name gets more brought up in the wrestling circles in China. Right. Because of the communication.
Okay.
And we're doing the match, and we get taken outside into the crowd, and these Chinese patting on me, saying, giving me a few insults. I thought, okay, I've got you now. I've seen who you are. I know where you are. And now they're touching me. I know I can touch them. That's kind of like my rule. Usually, I don't get physical with fans like that. Just some might take it the wrong way, especially in this country and culture.
Right, because they're not really totally hip yet.
There was another fan, and my opponent is called Mad Dog Connor. And he's got all his fans. He's brought his friends in. They're all sitting there with the Mad Dog Connor hats and their T-shirts. They're looking for first time they've been to a wrestling show.
Right.
So I go over and I can see it's a girl and a guy, easy, because I go and like flirt with the girl there. So I go and sit on the girl's lap and I took the guy's hat.
Right.
And I pulled it, I shoved it right down my pants, right by my crotch. And I'm making sure the whole crowd can see this now.
Right. Now,
and I walk around the ring and I see this Chinese fan who tapped on me. And now he's going to be on camera. So I've got this hat and I'm not like making eye contact with him. I'm playing around with the fact there's a hat down in my crotch area. Right. Pulled out, slammed it on his head in front of everybody. And I'll have to send you the video. The crowd erupt.
I definitely want to check that out. I can only imagine. That must have been interesting.
And the fact, it's a kind of a big thing as well, that in China.
Right. So now let me ask you the psychology of a match. How do you feel of these new age wrestlers? I call it leg slap city. When they do their kicks, they're slapping their legs. How do you feel about that leg slapping? I call it leg slap bullshit. That's what I call it. Not a fan of it.
It never bothers me at all. I never slap my legs or anything like that.
Well, a big guy like you doesn't have to do that.
I know.
Like Tajiri did it, and it was believable because he was smooth as hell.
Well, a lot of the guys slap their legs, and it never bothered me until they're putting their hand up in the air when they're coming in for a kick. I'm like, oh, bloody hell, I can see that coming a mile off. But what exposes them is because we've got all these photos that get taken, and we've got really good photographers who can catch the moment.
And they get right in there,
They can catch every photo of the hands and it's like with the chops, you got the slaps on the chests.
Yeah, you can't fake that. You see them get lit up, man. You can't fake a chop. But
one of the things I do, because in China, a lot of small Chinese wrestlers love the chops. They get their sound in, bomb, bomb, bomb. Half of them sound terrible when they do it.
Right. Well, they're small.
So I remember I upset some of these Chinese wrestlers because I don't sell chops. If they're half my size and they chop me, I don't sell it.
Exactly. That's the psychology.
And they chop me, and I do the look down on the chest, and I flex my pecs, and then I hit them with the lariat.
But that's what a big man's supposed to do. A big man's not supposed to go down on one or two shots. You're supposed to sell it a little bit like, what are you doing? Like flick them off like a mosquito, because them chopping you is like, taking a little freaking tool and trying to knock down a tree. It's not going to happen. You have to make it believable. And that's why veterans like you have to teach the psychology.
I'll be honest, it's like some of the wrestlers who've been here a while do say I'm a bit too generous with the smaller guys. They say, come on, in a real fight, you couldn't even, you couldn't even tie your shoelaces in. This guy wouldn't even dare knock you. He wouldn't even push you. But his wrestling, and you got to get people into it and learn it. And if I give them something, nobody else can deny them.
Exactly. You got to have the believability in a match.
Well, the believability, we've got to work on that. It's small steps over here.
Right. And that's
we're getting there, though. We're getting there.
I'm seeing progress being made.
Shawn Michaels said it once, like a few wrestlers didn't want to bump for him. And then when his mate Diesel did, there's like, well, everybody's going to bump for you now. There's no excuse.
Exactly. If I'm 7 foot tall bumping for you, why are they going to tell you otherwise? And it's okay to bump
Shawn Michaels is something else. He's one of my favorites from back in the day.
Oh yeah, pound for pound, he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
Oh, perfect. I mean, I know they always get a bad rap, but the Click. Obviously, I didn't understand the Click when I was watching wrestling in 94, 95.
Right, because it was more of an inside thing.
Shawn Michaels, Diesel, Razor and Bone, Street Kid. They were all my favorites.
Right, no, they were great.
I never knew they were mates in real life, and that probably explains why their matches were fantastic.
Right. So what was like the first wrestlers that got you into wrestling? Like the first matches you saw?
Everybody laughs about this, but okay, when I first got to wrestling, it was early 1992. It was between the Royal Rumble, 92, possibly the best Royal Rumble ever.
It was, by far.
I saw WrestleMania 8, and my friend got me into wrestling because him and his dad used to do impressions of the Macho Man. Dig it, oh yeah, doing all this, and the Slim Jim adverts from the television. Yeah. And we both had cable TV, Sky TV, and WWF had come onto it. And he watched it, and his guy was Hulk Hogan, but Hulk Hogan was never on Superstars.
Right.
But they were building up this one guy who I saw, and I said, when I wrestle, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to wear black tights when I do these moves. Sid Justice.
He was awesome.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. A big blonde guy.
Yep.
Does the power bomb. I mean, even my taunt is a direct copy, going on one knee and flexing the arms. That's a goal from him. I thought he was my guy, Sid. When he came in, I thought, this guy in yellow and red, sod him. Who's this guy who's coming out, putting people on a stretcher, running them in?
Exactly.
Toying with back in the day when they used to have all these jobber matches, these squashes.
Correct.
Sid made them look fantastic. He'd have 2-on-1. And, he picked them up. This is Hulk Hogan and hits the power bomb. Then he'll military press them onto the stretcher.
Right.
Harvey Whipple will put a sign over them. We'll put a Hogan banner. And then he'll run
Harvey Whippleman. He was a good manager. I like Harvey Whippleman.
Harvey Whippleman made look great with Sid because of the size difference.
The size difference, correct. And that's what I feel is lacking today in wrestling. They need to bring back the modern day manager because there's a lot of guys out there that can't speak, that look like $1 million. And you need someone to be that antagonist to speak on their behalf.
Well, this is why I wanted Chairman Al.
Right. But you seem good on the mic, though. I don't think you really need great English.
Pardon?
My opinion is, it's good for you to have a manager, but, you're big, you're cocky, and you're educated. So I can see you cutting a good promo with, little or no help.
I don't want to do promos, though. That's the thing. A lot of the guys love to hit. I don't like the sound of my voice in promos. Somebody says I sound too educated to be this vicious big guy. They said, "Oh, you sound a bit, But
you know what? That's also a good thing. Because Nick Bockwinkel, who was the AWA champion, he was a heel and he spoke very eloquently because he was intelligent.
I just watched him actually wrestle today on YouTube.
Okay.
Teaming up with Harley Race, I think, against Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody.
Wow, that's a hell of a tag match, man. I love old school tapes. I watch footage to this day.
Well, it was something what brought me to it is something that Harley Race said. He was on a podcast and he said when Stan Hansen and Brody started getting a bit rough with Nick and tagged Harley in, and now he leveled them out a bit, got them on the same page.
Right.
Yeah. So I wanted to see the match. I wanted to see the spots that happened.
Exactly. Let's talk some fantasy warfare. Big Sam versus Sid Justice, as you just mentioned, or give me somebody else that you would like to have either a fantasy warfare match or someone currently wrestling today that you would love to lock up with.
Cesaro.
No doubt. That guy is a workhorse, man. Amazing.
He is one of my favorites.
Me too.
And today's also, like I said, I don't watch as much wrestling as I used to do. Well, I'm somebody, you could talk to me about 90s wrestling. I could tell you probably the episode it happened on Superstars or Wrestling Challenge.
Well, we got to get together.
You give me a big major storyline now, I'll probably have to think there.
Right. I'd love to talk 90s wrestling with you, even offline one day, definitely, because we can have a hell of a conversation. Yeah.
Well, me and Buffa were driving down to a show. We had 5.5 hours in the car. I think that was probably the era of wrestling we talked the most.
Exactly. Those are the best road stories. I don't know if you can see behind me over here. Well, wrong side. The guy right over up there where I'm pointing, that's Billy Firehawk. He was the owner of NWA Cyberspace. He passed away. I can't see. Is that it looks like a nasty boy up there. Is that the... Well, it's funny. The big guy I just pointed to, he was big like an Abdullah the Butcher. Or
is this gold chain and a black leather jacket guy?
Black leather jacket.
Yeah, because I thought it was like one of the nasty boys.
That's Billy Firehawk over there. You got Shawn Michaels,
all right,
myself and Kane and some other people. But the thing I was going to mention is he used to live in Brooklyn. He moved to Las Vegas. We had our shows once a month in New Jersey. So he'd fly in, and then I would drive him to the shows. I was like the official, transportation guy. I was also the associate producer. The conversations we had going from Brooklyn to Jersey were invaluable. Although he embellished a lot on stories, but like you said, in the car with Buffa for 5 hours, the shit you guys can talk about and just talking the business. I never get bored of hearing it. I love talking about it. I can go hours and days talking the business.
We have similar conversations of if you had to pick the best city in China to wrestle, who would you have as your opponents? What would be your dream matches? We have all this type of chat as well.
Yeah, I mean, Cesaro's a great pick. I read something yesterday.
And why I picked Cesaro as well? Because I think it'd also make me look better. I think he'll make me look great.
You guys would definitely complement each other. Definitely, because he has that pure strength. You're a big guy. You're strong. I read something yesterday. I couldn't believe it. And I was insulted as a fan. They said, Cesaro would make a great transitional champion. I'm like, transitional champion. He'd make a great champion in general. I hate that transitional line. I think it's bullshit in plain English. I hate that line. You're not a transitional. You're a champ. If you get the title, you're running with the company. Whether it's a month, a year, whatever it is, that means you're the head cheese. You're drawing. You're putting asses in the seats. You're running.
Well,
with
everybody
the title.
becomes a transitional champion if that's the case, because everybody loses it down the line.
Exactly. So everybody should. Then you should call everybody that, because eventually, like you said, someone's going to lose, someone's going to win. I just thought that was ridiculous, because Cesaro is a great wrestler, and I think you guys locking up would be a hell of a match.
Other guys, I like strong, short guys as well. I like, because when they take me off my feet, it looks believable. Like someone like Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when I used to watch WCW, I mean, I was introduced to. They used to start the shows besides a 20-minute NWO promo. Used to have cruiserweights, and you have Psychosis, Juventud Guerrera, and Silver King or something like that. I can't remember too well, but they had all these.
Yeah.
But they always look like the cruiserweights today kind of look like they could do with a bit of steak in them. But those cruiserweights, they were around the 200-pound mark.
Right.
And, they could pick each other up like a Chris Benoit type character.
Yeah. I mean, they were phenomenal wrestlers. But someone like you, I could see you wrestling like an Eddie Guerrero, because if you remember when Eddie Guerrero wrestled Brock Lesnar, the match was very believable. That was a great match, the championship match.
Some people say when I was a champion, I reminded them of, you remember when JBL had his run?
Yes.
As a world champion.
JBL had his run. Yeah, you remind me of a JBL. You really do, because you're big.
I don't say that as it is. I like JBL. I
too.
thought he was one of the best. Because I like the old school heel wrestlers. And when he just came back and he was pushed as a champion, I thought it was just right for me. I really got into it. And I remember he took out The Undertaker, and he had the size to take The Undertaker out.
Right.
He was working Batista. He worked Eddie Guerrero. He had them, yeah.
He worked with Shawn Michaels, John Cena. He worked with a lot of guys, different generations. And, he started out as Justin Hawk Bradshaw, like a mid-carder. And once he broke into the APA with Ron Simmons, he started gaining momentum. And then he had his singles career after that, which was really good, as JBL.
He finished on a really good singles career, yeah.
He definitely did. And I see Big Sam.
Yeah, I really enjoyed his title run. Now, people are like, oh, JBL, big and slow and stuff. And I thought, well, I'm big and slow, but I mean, when he hit that clothesline from hell, you believed it. You could believe that would knock a man.
Exactly, knock the hell out of him. But being slow is good. Yeah. That's being methodical, like Harley Race. All these other legends. There's nothing wrong with being slow. Look at Greg the Hammer Valentine. He didn't get warmed up till like maybe the 20 or 30 minute mark. That's a slow build. And I see, speaking of Greg the Hammer Valentine, I see you use the shoulder breaker, which I'm a huge fan of that move. You don't see wrestlers doing that anymore. I noticed you did it in your match in the tournament. Love the shoulder breaker.
Well, there's a lot of moves I want to practice and go over. The trouble is when we go to these shows now, our time's very limited. And sometimes a lot of our young guys are not willing to take some stuff. So
they got to give and take. They have to be taught that.
Of course. Again, it's still new over here.
Right.
They're getting into it. I mean, the biggest mistake I think I ever had was against one young guy. I like to do the military press.
Yeah, well, you're big and
when
strong,
they say, other guy says when he takes a military press, they're legit falling from 7 foot plus.
Yeah, flat down, like the way the Warrior did. Exactly.
Of course. Usually I drop them like behind my head, like Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner back in WCW.
Yep, I remember those days. And he started doing the push-ups.
Big Cock and drop him behind, so it's a flat bump, yeah?
Yep.
And one guy's like, I don't like that. I said, okay. And he says, okay, do a choke slam on me. I said, you've taken a choke slam before? It can't be too hard. Hand on the shoulder, jump up. All right, I'll guide you when we do it. Did the choke slam. The bugger tried to flip himself, and he landed right on the back of his neck, and he folded. I tell you what, my heart stopped.
Doing too much.
My heart stopped when he did that. I mean, I went straight for the pin there just to check if his eyes were.
To make sure he was still with you. Yeah.
Of course, he kicked out, and that was like, oh, thank God for that.
Okay, he's okay. Then, keep going forward. Right.
Well, we did. I ended up having to hit him with 2 power bombs. Then we called it quits.
You know what? After 2 power bombs, he better call it quits if he knows what's good for him.
Well, Probably the more the gentle type of power bombs I've ever done.
Right. Well, I mean, you know what? You had
that was one time that didn't go my way. I mean, he was trying to show me what he could do, and he flipped himself. And almost moonsaulted off a choke slam.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what that reminds
devastating.
me of?
I'll have to send you the clip. I mean,
definitely send me the clip. And that reminds me of Brock Lesnar. Recently, they talked about it. I don't know if you remember Zach Gowen, who wrestled for WWE. He had
one-legged guy.
Correct. In the match, the finish was supposed to be 3 power bombs. When Brock Lesnar did the second one, the lights were on, but nobody was home. Zach Gowen was totally not that. So he took it upon himself, as a veteran, I'm going to pin him now. The hell with that third, power bomb, because he's already knocked out. So guys like you see these things to protect the other wrestlers that they need to learn moving forward so they can protect the next generation.
The thing is the attitude of these guys. And to be fair, he came and apologized to me. And I mean, I was guilt-ridden. I thought, God, I almost killed it, But this guy, it was like his second match. I mean, Paul Bug was put against me. I mean, I had 60 kg on him. So, 100 plus odd pounds on the guy.
I was about to ask you, in American terms for the pounds, I wanted to see the difference. So 100 pounds, that's a huge difference.
Well, let's put it this way. My weight, I'm 275 pounds on the scale.
Wow.
275.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to.
And these guys are like less than half. I mean, they're tiny compared to you. So when you're picking them up and doing your power moves, they have to not do anything extra because they're going to get injured. They need to listen to what you're telling them and how to land properly. I mean, it's the whole psychology of a big and little guy.
Was his attitude afterwards. He came and he apologized for taking it on. I said, don't say sorry. I said, you know what? I'm putting that myself. I'll take the blame on that choke slam.
Well, you live and learn.
I'll show you the footage. You can make your own mind up. I tell you what, the wrestlers who watch it, the fans who watch it like that look brilliant.
Right. I mean, they book these matches with big guys and little guys, and it's all about the big guys getting his power moves in. And when these little guys take these bumps, they need to do it properly, secure themselves and not do any extra flippity-floppity shit, because that's when injuries come into place. So, don't totally blame yourself for that. It's a work in progress.
He's new. And you know what? Sometimes it's just easy if I just said, you know what? You don't know that wasn't my intention to do that to you.
Of course not. And I'm sure he knows that. I mean,
it kills a lot of egos that happen in locker rooms. I mean, one thing that in China and a lot of Southeast Asian wrestling promotions, there's sometimes a few, probably they're going to be watching this and probably argue with me. Right. There's sometimes problems in the locker room because you've got a lot of young guys in the locker room.
Yeah.
And young men.
They're just starting out.
The world. They think they know everything. They think they know it all. And, they start their bullying and that. Now, MKW, you've got guys like me, Uncle Money, and Buffa in your locker room.
Right. The veterans. You got to humble these guys.
Well, it's not that. It's men. Like men in your locker room. And
accomplishment.
And also, none of us is actually small. So when we say enough, to be fair, they listen. But you see these locker rooms that don't have that type of... When you have these locker rooms that don't have that type of people, that's when you hear the stories coming out and, there's bullying or somebody takes it upon themselves to hurt one of the other guys to show them who's boss.
Right. Now, how many years total do you have in the business right now? How long have you been...
I first started training in 2005. Stopped for a bit because it was on the other side of the country. Right. 2007, I went more full-time with it.
Okay, so on and off 16 years, which is a long time. So you have...
Yeah, but I've had a big gap in between. I've had a big gap, and that really matters because I had about 5 years out of wrestling.
So what made you stop wrestling, and how did you get back into it?
Into China. Coming to China because wrestling was like non-existent over here. I went back into amateur wrestling, but that was just more... There was no tournaments or anything like that in China. I was just doing it for the training and that. The reason I found pro wrestling, I went to a comedy show with one of my ex-girlfriends, and when I was sitting there, the comedian says he was Indian, but he lived in Hong Kong.
Okay.
And he's going through the crowd, and he's making fun of different people. He sees me in the front, goes, whoa. Yeah, and he's like, whoa, Hulk Hogan's in the audience.
Yes, I read that. I read a story about that with you. Yeah, he referred to you as a Hulk Hogan.
And then I spoke to him after the show, and I said, what made you Hulk Hogan Pro Wrestling? He says, oh, yeah, he was an announcer for the Hong Kong wrestling promotion. And that got me introduced to Hogan.
Yeah.
So that's what brought me back. To be honest, when I came to China and I started working in that, I thought my pro wrestling days were gone.
Right.
And, I've had like multiple surgeries now, none of them wrestling related, mostly because I've been an idiot in the gym doing ego lifts.
Yeah, you got to be careful for that.
This is a 420-pound bench that went wrong.
Whoa! Look at that! Holy shit! Damn, man, that's nasty. Wow.
The pec muscle ripped off the bone.
I can imagine.
So I had it reattached.
Slow down the weights, big man, because I'm sure 200 or 300.
Oh, I have done. Yeah. Again, I was in my 20s, and I thought it was Hercules.
Right.
I've learned that now. I'm a lot more calm on the weights these days.
Well, yeah, as you get older, you get more, conditioned and you're more disciplined. So now with the amateur wrestling, did you wrestle amateur in high school or college?
In UK, I did it for the region.
Oh, okay. Wow, impressive.
Yeah.
That's
funny enough, you mentioned that. I uploaded a photo recently on Twitter and Instagram. So I was speaking to another pro wrestler who did amateur wrestling.
Right. And I saw a match of yours, which I was really impressed. You were at the time the Middle Kingdom champion. It looked like you wrestled in almost like an MMA octagon type of ring. And it looked like there were thousands of people at that match.
Was I in a blue tights?
I think so. I think it was like 2019 maybe.
Yes. This is January 2018.
What a crowd, man. Yeah.
That was absolutely brilliant. I'll tell you about it.
I enjoyed that. Right. Take me through it.
I was actually not so sold on doing that match. Basically, in China, a lot of these sports are coming big, MMA, Thai boxing and that. But this show didn't just want to do one sport. One match was going to be MMA, next match was going to be Thai boxing, next match was going to be pro wrestling, then it was going to be boxing. Had all these different matches on. And what they do, they invite loads of people in. They pay big money for these tables as well.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Tables there, they got bottles of whiskey and port. And they had a huge crowd there. I would easily say there was probably 1,500, 2,000 plus people.
That's what I was going to say. It looked like there was a considerable amount of people there. And obviously this is before the pandemic, so you were able to have it.
Oh, yes. This is January 2018.
Oh, it was 18.
It was actually my first title defense.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you.
MKW said, would you like to work this match? And I was like, are they going to understand pro wrestling? Are they going to get what I was about to ask you that.
Exactly. The communication is, in Chinese, powerbomb is powerbomb. But how do you guys communicate with the language barrier?
Yeah. Well, this is why I flipped to the tombstone, was because of this show. So I'm with this Chinese wrestler who I beat the previous month for the title.
Right.
And we got the referee who's a friend, and he does a lot of our production, an English guy. And we're saying, what type of match should we do for this? I mean, they're going to have MMA and boxing. I mean, we go out there. And I remember the Chinese guy says, we should make it look like a real fight, like MMA. And I went, nah. I said, let's go over the top pro wrestling style. I said, let's even do an angle where the referee gets hit. I said, let's really go for some. Then it'll stand out completely.
Especially with a crowd like that. They're not used to it. So.
Oh, yeah. And we got on the mat. And I mean, I'm going full heel to this stuff. Kicking.
Full blown.
I did that thing where I pretend to kick dirt on the floor to the band. They took it legit. God, this guy's a prick.
He just shoved it out of the way. What the hell's going on? Of course. But that's pure heel heat. That's instant heat. That's what you want.
And so we went in this match, this MMA ring, and it's hard floor. There was not much giving it. You took a suplex, you felt your kidneys. It
was a stiff ring, right?
There was not much. Yeah. So he said to me, he says, I don't think I want to take the powerbomb in this. I said, right, we'll do a tombstone. I said, I want to hit a big finisher, tombstone, because we'll go down on my knees. I could take it for you.
Right. Because sometimes in a match, you got to switch things up. I mean, you got to switch the finish sometimes. Of course.
So we do the match, and I said, we did the handshake, the heel that shakes the hand, and then kick straight away. And I heard the fans, and my friends were in the crowd, and they had the videos. There was a Chinese guy screaming all sorts of insults about me, because I'm a Chinese guy. In China, for example, if you get stopped in the street, they won't ask you, how are you? Or anything like that, or what's up, buddy, or anything like that.
Right.
They say, have you eaten? Ni fan le me? Have you eaten? That's their way of starting a conversation.
Okay.
Different. So regardless of the time of day, ni fan le me? Ni fan le ma? Have you eaten? So I will stand on the Chinese guy, stand on the Chinese guy and scream to the fans, ni fan le ma? They take that as like, he's standing on one of our people, our nationals and stuff like this. No, he did the referee bump, and I saw that I twisted my ankle.
Oh, for real? Okay.
I twisted, so I said to distract. I think got to watch it again, but I can't. I think the referee checks on me, and I push him.
Right.
He hits the corner where the other guy's sitting on.
Damn.
But I'm selling my ankle, and I'm like, my ankle, really selling it. And I can see this Chinese woman outside calling for the medics.
Oh shit!
I mean, I thought she believed it, and she kept leaning in with the cage, like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And she's panicking,
you see, that's
panicking, calling all the medics.
The art of selling.
And I pushed the referee, and then I catch the guy off the rope and I tombstone him. And at the end of the match, they want you to at least. They get a guy in the ring. It's like at the end of a boxing match, they raise one guy's hand and then they'll say, well, opponent put up a good fight. So I can't do that after I've just done that, won that way. Won in like a cheating manner. Right. Pushing the referee. So I thought, so I put my sunglasses back on, grabbed the title, and they give trophies to everyone. I snatched the trophy and stormed out the ring. And they never expected it. So what happened was they sent a couple of workers, assistants, or whatever, because they thought I was pissed off. They thought I was generally upset with the whole show. They came back and said, "Are you okay? Gold. You seem really angry. You seem really angry. You seem very..." And there's something else I didn't say. When I went in the locker room, there's all these boxers, MMA guys, Thai boxing, and I thought, they're going to react to a bunch of pro wrestlers. Tell you what, we were like celebrities in there.
I can imagine, because you guys are athletes and entertainers. So they had to be
the champions. Well, here's something. All their stuff is rigged as well. Well, they rig everything here.
Of course. That's how it goes. So after that
I said to the guy, I said, how about your Thai boxing? He says, I do it about 4 times a week. I look at him, I said, oh, God, you look good for that. And he says,
for guys,
we rig it.
They rig it. Figures. I'm not surprised. So you defended the title in the rematch.
China's worked out that a lot of people like to gamble.
Of course. So you got to increase the odds, do the job, and collect.
Well, what happens? These guys go from city to city, advertising a new show. First time ever, these guys are fighting.
Right. Crowd doesn't know.
Yeah. New crowd. Yeah.
So now we did that. When you won the match, that was your rematch against that guy. How long did you hold the title after that for? After that match in the cage, you were champion for how long for Middle Kingdom?
December 2017, and I dropped it maybe June, July 2019.
And who did you drop it?
I had it well over a year.
Yeah,
definitely not a transitional champion in this one.
No transitional champion there. Who did you drop the title to?
Dropped it in a freeway, and I didn't get pinned. Just want to point that one out.
I was about to say, so...
And a Hong Kong wrestler called a Hong Kong wrestler picked up the title, called Michael Su.
Who was the second? The third guy?
Oh, Cam Ferguson.
So Michael Su pinned Cam Ferguson. So you lost your title, but your shoulders were not pinned to the ground.
Correct.
So I can see why you'd be bitter and you'd want redemption on regaining that MKW title. And I even told Zombie Dragon he better.
You know what? They even changed the title. They went modern. They went for this red one with the big shield on the front.
Yes, I saw that. It looked like they changed it.
It doesn't fit round me. Does not fit round me. It's too small. This is the problem with China. They made the titles. You got to be anorexic to wear half of these titles.
But the small people, it looks like you got a toy belt if you have that title, like the way Big Show used to have the title
was perfect because nobody could wear it besides me.
Right, exactly.
Big heavy duty. Like I love wearing titles around the waist. I see it as a sign of as a champion, as respectful as well. I think it shows you. This is an artist thing as well. Too many guys wear the belts over their shoulders coming down to the ring. It's like to me, it's like you're not caring for that role as a champion. Me, I am proud to wear the belt around my waist all the time. If I
agree
can
with
fit
that.
the belt around my waist, it's something. It stands a bit more when a guy carries it over his shoulder coming to the ring. But when a guy's wearing it around his waist, it's like he's wearing his title.
He's proud of it. But I got to be honest, over the shoulder, I agree with you to a point, but I'd rather see the guy hold it over his shoulder than just take the title and throw it into the ring like it's like yesterday's garbage. To me, that's disrespectful.
Well, that's.
I hate that. Or they wear it backwards, or they just fling it around, lay it on the ground. I'm a fan of holding it around the waist. The first guy the first one who held the title on the shoulder I saw back in the day was Magnificent Morocco. He was the first guy I saw hold the IC title. I thought it was pretty cool, but I get what you're saying. But some guys like you, if they don't fix the title enough for the straps, it's not going to fit. So they have no choice but to do it over like the U.S. title over
when I wear the titles around
the shoulder. So
and another thing is like with Queen Marie, Lady Marie. Usually, I like her. She'll take the belt off me.
Yes, I've seen that before. Now, does she prefer Lady or Queen Marie? Which one is it? Because I've seen both.
Well, I think she had a name change to Queen Marie when in one of the episodes we crowned her.
Right, it's more fitting.
Well, if I'm the king of pro wrestling, you could say that.
Exactly.
And Britain does have goes on about has the royal family. Right. Even though I'm not a royalist myself, but that's another story.
Well, speaking of the stable, okay, not to rehash that you guys didn't win the tag titles, but is there a rematch in the future for you and Uncle Money to get your hands on those titles?
100% there needs to be, because, you know, when you saw us, we weren't running at full pistons. We weren't running. I think all of us at our next show, we need that live show, if that makes sense to you. There's not this TV tapings. We need the crowd. We need I think you will see more from Uncle Money, Maria, myself. You'll see probably Buffa going to another level. You'll see DC Chen, who's still learning the ropes, step up his game. I mean, that TV taping, I think, on all those matches we had, we were all pretty exhausted, and I feel we could bring it a lot better on a live show. Full concentration, go for it. I believe we could do something great, really.
I want your opinion
I liked. Okay.
Go ahead.
Just gonna say how I like teaming with Uncle Money. Buffa and me, great champion guy to work with. Real. I mean, he got some experience coming with there. Yeah, forget our feud and all this stuff. I mean, he's really helping us over here.
Well, I for one am looking forward to the tag team rematch, and I wanted to get your take on something. I was talking to a couple of guys about this in the past. Due to COVID, WWE, they don't have actual fans in attendance. They have the dome with all the people on the monitors watching. I feel that certain wrestlers, this has been a blessing in disguise where they can work on their gimmick, their persona, and their mic skills without a live crowd just yelling, "You suck," where they can establish themselves like a guy like Roman Reigns. When he was performing in front of live crowds, he couldn't get a word in because they just wanted to boo him because they thought it was cool. Now that they're hanging out at the center wrestling in front of monitors, they're able to express themselves, get the gimmick over. So when they go back to live crowds, they'll be established already, as that top heel and be able to interact with a live audience. I feel for some wrestlers it works and others need that live audience. What's your take and how do you feel on that?
I never really thought of it that way, to be honest, but now you've said it, maybe there's some truth behind that. We've worked with a limited TV taping crew, and we had like 20 fans in attendance. And it just makes so much. When we did that Chandra show with 200 odd people, you come out and they got the roaring and cheering and
adrenaline.
There's another level, man. It really is. There is. I've really never appreciated it till it's happened.
Exactly.
You don't know what you got till it's gone, type of thing. And when I used to see the WWF and they'd be in the ring and they would say, oh, it's all about the fans, and I thought, God, here we go, another cliche. But it is so true.
I think it goes for both the wrestlers and the fans.
Even as a heel, I love it. I mean, I remember when I was in Nepal and we had motorbike helmets, bottles of water thrown at me and that. I fed off that, man. I really did.
Heat, man. Instant heat.
Oh, the fact that we couldn't go out at the end of the show to see people because there was almost like a death warrant on me.
Exactly. They're looking for you after the match. That's the thing. They're looking to kick your ass.
I always wondered, when I listened to listen to some of the old school wrestlers and the fans would be there with knives and stones and stuff. And I thought,
back in the days, Roddy Piper, they went after him like that when he was a
thought to myself,
yeah. I mean, that's believability.
I wonder how nuts crowds have to be like that. And then I wrestled in Nepal. Holy hell! We had a plastic chair thrown at us.
Wow.
We had a motorcycle helmet.
See the difference?
We had bottles of water.
Yeah, certain areas are more hip to it, and they'll come after you.
I think that was probably some of my best heel work I've ever done in my life.
I could imagine.
Was wrestling in Nepal.
Walking out, watching your back as you're leaving, saying, "Shit, man, I'm going to get hit at all angles here. I better watch myself."
Well, actually, my safety was I grabbed a girl and walked with me.
You're like a macho man behind Elizabeth, right?
No, this was actually one of the ring. Well, one of the things, basically, I was told a few things not to do, and I went and did all of them. Don't touch the women. And there was this beautiful ring announcer in Nepal, and at the end, I'm celebrating with the championship. And she shakes my hand and I pulled her into me and started walking off. And the crowd are going absolutely nuts. One of their women with a big white guy, especially British with the whole British history,
completely
colonial past. Oh, yeah. I mean, the good thing in Asia, Britain, we were absolute bastards over here. So I always play the colonial stuff.
Right. And I've noticed a difference between Japan and China, where wrestling's been around a lot longer in Japan, where the crowd's more hip. To like the fan interaction, the wooing of the chops, the booing, the cheering, whatever it is. But slowly now I'm starting to see it in China. I forgot what match it was.
They also learn from the TV as well. They also learn what they see on the TV.
Right. And now I think that women's wrestling
with the chop and all this,
correct. And they're starting to pick up on that in China now, which is very impressive. But there's so many.
Yeah, but a lot of the women associated with, say, Ric Flair.
Yeah,
that's why it's a chop with the woo. They wouldn't associate with the Ric Flair.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's anytime you hear a chop, you can't help but say woo. That's just it goes hand in hand. But I noticed that Japan has a lot of women talent, a lot of female wrestlers. China, not so much now. Not yet, anyway.
Have you been to Japan?
No, I haven't.
You have? Sorry, you haven't.
No, I have not. I've heard that there was more female talent in Japan as opposed to China.
Well, a lot more. To be honest, China doesn't have much female talent at all. We brought Japanese women over.
Well, that'd be good. You could get the talent over in China. So let me ask you this:
in AEW, you had Riho.
Riho in AEW, she was their first inaugural champion.
She worked one of the shows I was on, and another one as well. Who was the last champion? Another Japanese lady.
I think her name was
Shio. You got the name?
Shio or Shahala. I forgot how to pronounce her name. She just lost the title to
Britt. Dancing woman.
I can't think of the name, but she just lost to Britt Baker recently in AEW.
Yes, that one. She was also on a show. And I had no idea she was on the same show as me.
Wow.
No idea.
Small world, right?
I mean, I did. Yeah, but she wasn't AEW then. I didn't have that. A lot of the hardcore wrestling, is this the right term? Marks or whatever, smarks who really
you have your
worship
marks.
it. They know what they have. They know what they have for breakfast.
Smarter marks.
They follow them. They follow them all the way. And they'd be telling me, such and such is here. And I'm passing her down the street and I'm passing her in the locker room. I got no idea. I say hello, and think to myself, God, I should have had a photo. So I've tried to make that a thing now, to try and have photos with people, just in case they end up on AEW. And I didn't realize. Me and Ho-Ho have been on shows together. We've traveled together. We never had a photo together.
I had no idea. Exactly. That's crazy.
Well, no, Ho-Ho was good. Well, no, Ho went to WWE just because I knew him as a guy who I bought a burger for. We chatted in a bar.
Right.
Now well,
let me ask you this.
So when I met Riho, I had a photo with her.
Okay, she's tiny compared to you. My God.
Oh, she is. And the other one, she dressed like Freddie Mercury, Emi Sakura.
Oh, okay.
She was in AEW and she dressed like Freddie Mercury, even put a fake tash on.
I'm not sure who that is.
You'll find her. She headlined one of the shows with Rio.
I'd have to look that up and get back to you. I knew Rio because that's when I first started watching AEW, so I remember her as the inaugural champ. And
Which
I watched.
do you prefer then to watch?
Was that?
Which do you prefer to watch?
Well, I was raised on WWE when it was WWF from the 70s.
Yeah, late 70s, that one, isn't it? So I remember they flipped to WWF about then.
Yeah, so living in New York, all we got was WWF. So monthly, you got to read the magazines to keep up with AWA, NWA, Florida, Smoky Mountain, all these different companies, because that's when it was territorial based. So as a New Yorker, I only got WWE. So I've been watching that my whole life. During the Monday Night Wars in the 90s, I watched both WWE and WCW. We would go to the gym, go to my friend's house. We'd have two TVs side by side. So we'll pop up a couple of beers. We'd watch both at the same time. I was more pro WWE, although I like the NWO angle. But I was always a WWE guy. But lately, it's hard to watch. I don't like cheesy storylines. I don't like stupid shit. I do
Same
like
as me. I hate it.
It's hard to watch.
When it comes to wrestling, I'm pretty serious, even though I have put up with like The Undertaker, and I think he was the greatest gimmick going.
Oh,
and Papa Shango was one of my favorites.
Oh, I love Papa Shango. When he grabbed Warrior and he just possessed him, he attacked him. Great TV. But that was during the time of the gimmicks. So, it was a whole different time frame. But I like AEW. There's things about AEW I like versus that I don't like. Same basically as WWE. It's like a pick and choose. I like what they're doing with Bobby Lashley in WWE. I like what they're doing with Roman Reigns. Then I see certain things in WWE. I'm just like, what the hell are you doing? But the same goes for AEW. Chris Jericho's a workhorse.
I think that's pretty fair to say about a lot of promotions.
Yeah, it's like a give and take. I mean, there's no such thing as 100%.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of Orange Cassidy, and I know a lot of people tell me, but he's funny, he's great, and I just
it bothers
me.
Man,
that changes the channel.
I'm not really for that either.
I know it sounds. I don't like things that insult wrestling. Even though wrestling, you can make your own mind up about it. But
right. Well, the problem is there's no more kayfabe in wrestling, which, as a fan for years and being in the business, it bothers the hell out of me. Back in the day,
this is like some of the arguments me and some of the guys would have. I mean, I give my legit weight and height,
right,
and they don't. And then when after the show they get a picture next to me, it's like, oh, bloody hell, you're much bigger than him. And he says he's 6 foot.
Well, he's full of shit and you're not. That's why.
But they talk about Kababy and stuff like this and wrestling dying out. And
in 2007,
everyone's on social media as well. I mean, they posted.
Well, it ruined it.
You saw me in a bar having beers.
Social media ruined wrestling. I remember when the 900 lines took place, me and Gene would be like, oh, if you want to find out what's going on with Hulk Hogan, you got to call the line.
Yeah, ring Gene Okerlund and stuff like that. Yeah, and he'll tell you
I never called the line, but it was interesting. And you didn't know, like when somebody came out you weren't expecting, you were like, oh my God, look who's here. So-and-so is here. Now you find out 2 weeks in advance. You're like, oh yeah, so-and-so is going to be at the Garden or here or there.
Signed a contract and and he's changed his Twitter handle to his new wrestling name and stuff like this.
Right. I had an interview in 2007. I had Vince Russo on, and he said to me, kayfabe just is dead now in 2007. There's nothing you can do. And then, he goes into the title saying that a title was never won. It was always a promotion. I mean, he was like ripping into it. And to me as a fan, you're killing the mystique of the business.
Well, Bobby Heenan said this as well. Yeah. I mean, he was interviewed when he was still around.
Right.
And he said, wrestling's just changed with the internet, with kayfabe being exposed, and
mystique was gone.
It has. It said it'll never be what it once was.
I know.
You're never going to think that Savage and Hogan were fighting over Elizabeth.
Right. And those bills back
then Hogan really have feelings for it. Now Hogan. What was it? Hogan knows best. He's got a wife and kids. And
you see him as a regular guy, and it kills the whole like what you're going to do, brother. I mean, back in those days, you had a build like WrestleMania 5, Savage and Hogan with the mega powers. Little by little, you saw the crack starting to break in the foundation that there was going to be a possible heel turn.
But those storylines wouldn't just finish, start and go in a month.
Yeah. Now it's too quick now. There's no build. There's no longevity.
Those storylines, that went on for a few shows. I remember.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Start around after WrestleMania, they'd finish at WrestleMania, the next one. Survivor Series, they get all their friends together. They'd have two teams. You'd have a
blow
the King's
off.
Court, the Hulkamaniacs, the Ultimate Warriors, $1 Million Team. I used to love those when they used to give themselves names.
Oh, it was great. You had the Warrior with the Legion of Doom. I mean, you had these great matches. You had Demolition, all three of them, I think, and someone else.
Yeah, against with Mr. Perfect.
And Mr. Perfect with the Road Warriors, Ultimate Warrior, and Kerry Von Erich. I mean,
because he was known as the Model Warrior,
right?
And the Ultimate Warrior and the Road Warriors, yeah,
with the Road Warriors. I mean, that's like dream matches when you're a kid. And Demolition got a lot of shit back in the days because they were called Road Warrior wannabes. I thought they were great.
Hands down, probably the best theme music about. They had the best.
I love Demolition.
I mean, when that music used to start up, you couldn't help but like them.
Exactly.
I mean, they came out now. If you see wrestlers dressed like, I mean, if they said, "Hey, Sam, can you dress like this?" I mean, I might raise my eyebrows a bit, with the spikes and the hockey masks and the
right, because it's a different time,
and the chaps and stuff. But
right,
when that music came on, I thought they were absolutely brilliant.
They were. They really were brilliant. And speaking of old school wrestlers, you also remind me a little bit of Ludwig Borga. Same kind of build.
My mate said that the other day. Ludwig
really?
Borga, yeah.
And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that as a compliment because I was a fan of Ludwig Borga. He was a badass. He never got the credit he deserved.
Well, the one thing about Ludwig Borga, I always remember, he was the first guy to beat Tatanka. Correct. And he did it, and he beat him and pinned him with one finger.
Exactly, like just to insult.
And as a child, I was like, wow. Not only did he beat Tatanka, he beat him with one finger. That was a lead up to Survivor Series, I think.
I believe it was Survivor Series, yeah. It's a shame what happened to
Alliance or stuff like that against the All Americans. The Foreign Alliance, Foreign Invasion or something.
You had all all the people from overseas joined together against all the Americans, which
they took Crush in there for some reason.
I think Crush may have been in there as well.
But I think they were pushing the storyline that Crush, because of Mr. Fuji and his background in Demolition, and then Fuji.
Right, it was all intertwined with each other. Exactly.
Yeah.
So now you have some match. You said you have a match coming up, hopefully in July. Basically, you'll be defending your title. Do you know who?
No. In July will be MKW taping. So,
MKW tapings. Is that for the tag titles or for
Well, the tapings, we don't know, but we got a live show on the last day with tickets being sold. So that means we're going to have a crowd. And I am hoping that's when he makes the tag match.
Well, I'm looking forward to that for one, definitely, because you guys need to get redemption. I feel if you guys get on the same page, I think Buffa and DC Chen really better do their homework because I think you guys are going to be coming full throttle for them. And China to New York may be short-lived as tag.
Well, the thing is whatever C2NY, that nonsense, yeah. You got DC Chen. He talk about riding the coattails. He's definitely doing that.
Well, yeah, he's a new guy. He's taking advantage of the situation, hanging with someone established.
Let's face it, Queen Marie could probably knock him out.
Wow. And speaking of Queen Marie, if the women's division starts to grow in MKW, is Queen Marie interested in becoming a wrestler or more just toward a valet manager, for you along with the stable?
At the moment, she's happy being a valet, but she's a type of woman who likes the limelight. So I can see her
scrapping and getting down with some of the women and kicking some ass and taking names. I'll be honest with you.
Oh, she's not. She's pretty tall. She's not a short lady. With.
Yeah. No, I can see her definitely, mixing it up in the ring. But for now, she's, a great addition to the stable. She's a difference maker. And, I see nothing but big, futures for the stable. I see you guys with all the gold. You have Silver.
Hey, that's the goal. We have been around for so long. People keep thinking we're going to break up all the time. And
right.
Since September 2017.
Now, when you come down the ring.
WWE wrestled had a show in Shenzhen, September 2017.
See, I love stables. I've always been a fan of factions. So
me too.
With the stable, I want to see you come to the ring with your King of Wrestling title. Why don't you come to the ring wearing that other title? You're not allowed to represent it, or what's the story?
Well, the story's like this. The tapings you saw was filmed before I won the title. I won the title on April the 17th, my birthday.
Happy belated birthday. Congratulations.
I won the title on my birthday in Guangzhou. We're in wasn't a big venue, but it was filled and it was so lively. And it was really good. We powerbombed a guy through 2 chairs.
Powerbombed him for his troubles. So now
that's what the fans want.
Exactly. So Ash Silver, Belton Road champion. You're the King of Wrestling's champion, now possibly becoming tag team champions in MKW with the rematch. So I'm going to leave it off with that, where I, as a fan, want to see the stable collect all the gold, kick ass, and take names. No offense to Buffa DC Chen or anybody else, but as a fan of stables and factions, I like seeing titles.
What it sounds like is that you've been converted during this whole conversation.
Well, listen,
you realize that we're actually the good guys in this.
Not everybody.
You realize we're the good guys in this.
Okay, Big Sam, I'm telling you now, not everybody from New York's a bad guy. I'm very open-minded. I give credit where credit is due. I just didn't understand the whole behind the scenes, why these guys were getting jumped. You explained yourself. I appreciate you coming on and telling me and setting the record straight. So before we get going and wrapping things up, are you on social media? What are your handles? Give us a shout out so we know how to reach you.
Well, as a marketing manager, I all know about consistency. So my Instagram and Twitter are exactly the same.
Smart.
It's SJD Burgess. Burgess is Burgess. SJD Samuel John David. Or as anyone who drinks, you can say Sam Jack Daniels.
Very good. Very good. I like that. That sounds great. Well, I'm going to cut things off of here because I think there's so much more. I want to leave the fans wanting more to have you come back on in the future.
Anything thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it was my pleasure. And I know this is
I really enjoyed this. So even though it's midnight here in China, I presume it's lunchtime for you?
Yeah, well, right now, let me look at the time here. It is 12:08 p.m. Eastern Standard over here. So it's past midnight over there. We're on a 12-hour time difference, I believe.
Yep, it's 8 minutes past midnight, and I've got to get up at 6 for the gym tomorrow.
Wow. Okay, so with that being said, for Big Sam, I'm Brooklyn's own Toddy D. We're out of here. We'll see you soon.